Hey everybody, it's Jax again from the Popcorn Review Podcast. And today actually is gonna be my episode 50 of my podcast. So I'm pretty excited. So I'm gonna do a little bit of celebrating. Oh yeah, episode 50. So appreciate that, guys. But this is gonna be AEW recap for 820 Dynamite before Forbidden Door. We did have Danielson on commentary. You know, he came out, he did the yes chants with everybody. I thought he was gonna be more involved, but he was just straight up commentary, just giving his 2 cents on the matches. But I thought he was going to do more personally. I know that I think he's stepping away from that kind of role. So I just thought that he would, or a wrestling role, I thought he would do something, maybe show up for Forbidden Door, maybe take somebody's place, but that's not the case. Um, Will Ospreay does start off the night, you know, doing his kind of hyping up the crowd and stuff, you know, saying that he's a little upset that he's actually not cleared for Forbidden Door, but there's no way in hell he's not wrestling in his hometown. And I totally understand that. Now, I don't know if this is part of the story or if he's really going to be going under the knife like he mentioned. I thought they were saying he was going to do the surgery before Forbidden Door, but maybe that didn't happen or they weren't able to work it out. But Osprey goes there, and then you know you have him pretty much just talking about the crowd, like he couldn't wait to get like a sausage sandwich or something to that effect, and everybody was like, you know, or a sausage patty, something like that, and everybody was like chanting it, and even Excalibur was like, yeah, they're actually pretty good, so I attest to that, and you know he was just getting the love from the crowd. Um, you did have John Moxley's music hits. He walks to the ring with Marina Shafir. He's actually face to face with Moxley, and he goes, "Man, I'm just letting you know before I go under the knife, I'm gonna take my pound of flesh." And then, you know, like always, you're gonna have the Death Riders kind of surround the ring. And he was like, "Mox, if you want to take me out, you do it yourself. Stop being a coward. Take me out if you want to take me out." Now, it's not like if he's legitimately hurt, he's gonna be away for a while, so he may not have that much going on at Forbidden Door. He might have like a lesser role or a smaller role, but you did have all hell broke loose. They started about to take out Will Ospreay. You have Jet Speed come out, and you know, I forgot his name, Jet Speed, and you had a few people come out there. Oh, you had Jet Speed, you had Samoa Joe and the Ops come out. Marina Shafir came back out, or Marina Shafir was there, so she got involved. Long story short, there was actually a trios match right after that. It was just like one continuous thing to another. So just all hell breaking loose. Marina Shafir was, of course, on the side of the Death Riders. You had Jet Speed there with the Ace from New Japan. I'm forgetting his name, man. Tanahashi. There you go, man. You had Jet Speed and Tanahashi's versus the Death Riders. Okay match, you know, just building up for Forbidden Door. You know, showing these guys. And Tanahashi, you know, they said he's been wrestling for over 25 years. I haven't seen much of him personally unless he's part of Forbidden Door, to be honest with you. Haven't watched New Japan in years since the Bullet Club was over there. Um, but, you know, Jet Speed and Tanahashi did okay. They actually beat the shit out of the Jet Speed, though. Um, Kevin Knight always looks good in the ring, but they were just beating those guys down. And even though, you know, they pretty much won the match there, you did have all hell break loose. Before the match was over, Marina Shafir got kicked out. Honestly, she was hitting I think she hit Kevin Knight. And during that segment or that match, you had her kind of be upset, like, "Oh, this is crazy. Why am I getting kicked out, woman? You just did it right in front of the ref. You know, like what are you doing?" Well, when she's on the ramp, Will Ospreay grabs her and puts her over her shoulder and laughs. And Moxley notices it. He goes to chase after her, but he's got a match to worry about. Well, again, Death Riders, if I'm not mistaken, you know, do their thing. They start beating down on everybody. All hell broke loose, like I mentioned. You had the Ops come out. You had everybody and their mom out there. You had, I think they said part of the Bullet Club was also there with Gabe Kidd, so they were jumping in on it. And it was just a massacre. Like bodies flying everywhere. You did see Will Ospreay come back out with the body bag. They assumed that was Marina Shafir because they attacked him and he left the body bag. They opened the body bag. It's Darby Allin. No shit, it's Darby Allin. He's been dragging motherfuckers around the backstage area and the ring in a body bag for a couple weeks now. Why wouldn't you think that's Darby Allin? That's his shtick. Like he does that. But They all start beating him down. They end up in the arena by one of the staircases, and Darby Allin actually jumps off the top. I don't know if everybody caught it. It looked like they missed him totally. Like the pile just let him fall. Like Darby Allin got up really slow. Will Ospreay helped him up. The good guy stood tall by the ring while they're looking over at everybody else on the ground. But it looks like Darby Allin could possibly be hurt, guys. So hopefully that's not the case, but we'll go from there. They had a recap of what happened when MJF and Hangman Adam Page there. And it started last week, started with Hangman Adam Page and MJF, and it ended last week. But this week showed you the recap of what was going on. So we are going to hear from them later on. But you did have Adam Copeland and Christian Cage kind of like chum it up in the ring. They both came out. They both got their own entrance. And Christian was still trying to be the bad guy. Like, shut up and let me conduct my business. And Copeland goes, man, shut the hell up. What's wrong with you? Like, what are you doing? Like, these guys love us. Like, why would you do that? And he goes, well, I'm not going to change for nobody. And then Copeland goes, you're right. You're an asshole. You're the asshole. Everybody needs an asshole in their life, and you're my asshole. He was like, wait a minute, did I just say that right? He was like, you know what? Shivani, here, take the mic. So they pieced it up, and they pretty much said, hey, we're not working together out of friendship. We're working at it. We're working together out of necessity. So he's pretty much saying, I got your back with Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, and then he has your back for FTR. Now, out of nowhere, Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne's mom shows up on the ramp, and they just start talking shit. And they're like, "You're so lucky, my son can't be here. How dare you boo his mom?" And blah 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 blah. And then Nick Wayne ends up on the jumbotron with crutches. I didn't know Nick Wayne got hurt. They're saying he pretty much said that you took him out with Spike. You tried to take his head off. You missed, but you actually broke his foot. Don't know if that's the case or that's just the storyline. But then out of nowhere, you see like a body on a tray, and you see like fluids pumping into the body. All of a sudden, boom, Luchasaurus sits up, and it almost looked like the Frankenstein's monster was getting put back together. At least that's what I thought. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, he got put back together in Frankenstein's laboratory, and boom, now you got a monster. Luchasaurus was already a monster beforehand. Now he got put back together with scraps and whatever the case was. Boom, he is Frankenstein's monster. Wearing green again, comes out, and for a minute, Kip Sabian comes around the back of the ring, and they kind of split up. Christian goes after Kip Sabian, but Copeland goes after fucking Luchasaurus, gets choke slammed, and Christian didn't pay attention. Boom, they both got choke slammed. So I personally thought when Luchasaurus came back, he was gonna be the good guy, but the way they're playing this story, he's gonna be a heel with Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian. But it makes a lot of sense. He's gonna go after Christian Cage because when he was a champion, you stole his TBS title, and you treated him like shit when he was Kill Switch. So guys, the monster Luchasaurus is back. Got like I mentioned, I got Frankenstein monster vibe, so can't wait to see it. Luchasaurus is gonna take Nick Wayne's spot because Nick Wayne is hurt at Forbidden Door. Can't wait to see it. Um, but guys, to be honest with you, you did have a section there with what was it called? With Ricochet and what Gates of Agony or GOA, whatever he wants to call them, and I think they were talking with Renee out of nowhere. They get interrupted by MJF, and he was like, "Hey, usually we don't work together, but we both got the same problem. Mark Bristol's coming after me. Why don't we work together and we'll go after him together?" And Ricochet was, you know what? Typically, won't work with somebody like you. Excuse me. Typically, won't work with someone like you, but I don't like Mark Briscoe, so let's do this. So they're pretty much hunting for Mark Briscoe later on throughout the night. Um, but it got pretty crazy, but we'll get to that. You had FTR versus Brodito. That was Brody King and Bandito for the final, who to see who's going to face the Hurt Business. Sorry, the Hurt Syndicate. Knew I was going to mess up at least once. The Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door. Now, this match was insane. Bandito and Brody King are actually a great tag team. Don't know how long term that's going to be. They kind of like complete opposites of each other. One's a high flyer, one's a monster among men. Rock and roll, rock and roll music, Mexican ballads and stuff. So they're complete polar opposites. But they work well together. Honestly, they got some chemistry going. They did actually really well against FTR. Stokely came out at the beginning of the match with his arm in a sling, saying that that's what happened when he wrestled Edge. Um, Whatever, man. But for a while, Brodito was doing their thing. Bandito and Brody King were doing their thing. FTR is the better tag team. They've been working together for years. They have their chemistry together. But it was a decent match. It went the full 30-minute time frame. Um, Stokely actually had a loaded pipe in his the arm sling. So when Brody King went to like spear, I think Cash moved out the way, and he kind of hit him when the referees wasn't looking, busted him open. Now I don't know if he was supposed to get cut or if it was just too much blood because the ref kept checking on him throughout the night, and for a while it was just Bandito wrestling. So it was Bandito pretty much 2-on-1 till Brody King got his wits about him, or just knocked, kind of woke up from the hit. But it was a good match. After a while, you did hear like, oh, 10-minute warning, 5-minute warning, 2-minute warning, 30-second warning, and then boom, it ends at a draw. Now, you did have in the back for a little bit, you had the Hurt Syndicate watching with MVP, and they kind of shook their head like, man, this is whatever. Like, they weren't impressed. I thought they were going to come to the ring and attack these guys, but they actually didn't. They just walked to the ramp and pretty much said like, hey, we're the champions, whatever, whatever. And one of the announcers says, hey, spoke to Tony Khan. He's letting me know that because it's a 30-minute draw, we don't have a winner. It's going to be a triple threat match for the tag team champions at Forbidden Door. So you're going to have Brodito, Brody King, and Bandito versus FTR versus the Hurt Syndicate. Now, we already know that they kicked MJF out of the Hurt Syndicate, and I did mention that I feel like MJF's going to screw them over the tag team titles, and he has a connection with FTR. What happens if he gets the fucking Pinnacle back together? Technically, MJF is already a champion with the CMLL championship, and then helps FTR win the tag team champion, screwing over the Hurt Syndicate because they kicked them out of the group. I already said I see him screwing them guys over. This is the perfect time to do it. Don't know if they're going to pull the trigger, but this is the perfect time to do it, guys. Let's see what happens. You did have Hangman Adam Page talk there. He pretty much addresses the cheap shot that MJF took the last week to start. Again, calls MJF a coward. Pretty much just talking shit. You can't do this by yourself. You're only doing this because of this, that, and the third. And he calls him to the ring, and MJF music plays. He does not show up. He's being a coward. Well, it does. Tony Schiavone gets up and goes, "Hey, I just got announcement from the back that MJF isn't coming out here, but he wants you to watch the screen." So he turns around, you're watching the Jumbotron. It's MJF with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony, or GOA, and then Mark Briscoe's in the center. They actually tied Mark Briscoe up and duct taped his mouth. He looked like he was knocked out or unconscious. And MJF was like, "Hey, you tricked me last week. And that's actually a pretty good job. People don't actually get over on me, but you tricked me last week into trying to use my contract." He goes, "Now I got something for you. I'm only going to wrestle you at Forbidden Door if you give me 3 wishes. And if you don't give me these 3 wishes, I'm going to burn him alive, just like you did to Swerve's house. So these people will see me burn something down just like you did and see if they love me for it." He is calling the crowd hypocrites. You love this guy for fucking burning someone's house down and, massacring Swerve, but you hate me because I just speak the way that I speak. And he's not wrong. Now, he takes a can of gasoline and says, "Hey, I'm gonna light him on fire if I don't get my 3 wishes." And he pours the gas. He goes, "Ooh, pungent," like fucking around. I'm pretty sure that shit was water, but for the show purposes, he said, "I'm gonna light him on fire if I don't get my 3 wishes." He goes, "1." He goes, the title could change hands with disqualifications, and it could change hands with countouts. He was like, "Third," he goes, "I don't have to use my contract at Forbidden Door," which I did say last time. It's kind of early for him to pull the trigger on that. And he's like, "You got to the count of 5 to give me my 3 wishes." He goes, 1, 2, 3, 4. When he got to 4, all right, you get your wish, you get what you want, you get what you want. He goes, "All right, so I get no disqualification, I could win the match. Count out, I could win the match, and I don't have to use my contract." So pretty much MJF just saved himself before the Forbidden Door. Don't know when he's going to execute the contract. But with this being said, I do see now MJF losing at Forbidden Door. I thought beforehand if the Hurt Syndicate was in on it, they would have helped MJF win. If he would have executed the contract without the Hurt Syndicate, I see Hangman winning. But now, when he doesn't have to use the contract, it gives MJF a chance later to come after the title, even if he loses here. So I see MJF losing. I see Hangman winning it, MJF losing. That's just how I feel, guys. Y'all let me know in the comments. But you know, so he was ecstatic, did his thing, whatever. They let him go. They just walked away from Mark Briscoe. You did have Hangman kind of run out and find Ricochet and attacks Ricochet from behind. And the security, hey man, MJF left, man. I'm sorry, but MJF left. And then he chases MJF out the building or looking for him. Gates of Agony come out. They're like, man, what the fuck, man? We weren't here. You got attacked, whatever. What do you think was going to happen? He was going to find the first person and attack him. But, the main event of the night, guys, was the women's match. You had Alex Windsor and Timeless Tony Storm versus Athena and the CEO, Mercedes Moné. Now, even though Mercedes Moné is winning titles, she seems a little off yesterday. You had Athena like yelling at her throughout the match, like, stay focused, get into this. Like, what's wrong with you? Almost as if she's treating her like one of her minions. At least that's what I'm thinking. Maybe at some point, Mercedes Moné has just lost herself. Even though she's winning titles, she's going to lose herself because she wanted to be at the highest pinnacle of AEW. Yes, she has a TBS and she's got another 8 titles. But like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, she could possibly go crazy from losing and then lose everything. And maybe because of that, she's going to lean into Athena and try to build that relationship with her because she needs somebody. Now, throughout the match, you did have the girls go back and forth. Alex Windsor and Thomas Tony Storm were doing their thing. Athena and Mercedes were doing their thing. Just building for, Forbidden Door. You have Athena versus Thomas Tony Storm at Forbidden Door. Then you have the TBS champion Mercedes versus in a 4-way at Forbidden Door. She's got someone from Stardom, somebody from New Japan. I think Ring of Honor, and also, herself, AEW. So building up for Forbidden Door. Honestly, decent finish. Athena actually made Alex Windsor tap out, but Athena also pile drived Thomas Tony Storm on the steps. So Thomas Tony Storm looked shook. Like she was like shaking when she got up. She actually didn't return after the pile driver. She just sat there. So it was making Athena look strong. I personally thought it was going to be Mercedes that was going to beat Athena. I'm sorry, Mercedes was going to be Thomas Tony Storm. But the way it's looking, Athena's looking really strong. And she's got Starks with her, Billy Starks with her. And technically now she has Mercedes Moné. So maybe they're going to plot against her and make her lose. I would say that it'd be nice if all the good people won, all the faces won at Forbidden Door. But at the same time, somebody got to lose. If MJF gonna lose and Hangman's gonna retain, I would think Athena would take over, right? Athena should win. Athena's a tremendous wrestler. Let's see what happens, guys. But in all, thank you guys for watching. This is my episode 50. Thank you guys for being here. AEW recap for 8/20. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.